In this video, I'm going to show you a simple workflow that you can use for your service-based business in order to be able to generate beautiful looking PDF quotes that are automatically sent to the client on site using a simple input form on your website that runs through this process and is able to give you and the client all of the information that they need to know in order to understand how much it might cost them to provide your services. Okay, and let's take a look at how this actually works in practice. So what we have over here is my website. I've got just a simple input form I've put onto my website that would allow my employees access to when they're on site, that they can put in client information, phone number, email address, all of that information. But the important part is here, where they're able to put in what services are actually required. Now, our service techs may not know every single price up front. They may not know every single thing that we have for sale. They may not know everything going on in the business and what we're charging for, right? However, they do know, or they will know, what's going on with the client, what the client needs. So this allows our service techs to write in plain English, plain language, say what's going on. So this is for a plumber, so a water heater crack, needs replaced with small water heater, also need to unclog toilets and snake the master bathtub. All right, each of those is a specific service that a plumbing technician would need to be able to do. And to be able to do that, we need to get the client a quote up front so that they know how much this is going to cost or likely to cost, and then get them to approve it. So what we do is we go ahead and make sure we check that the client has been aware. We're going to pick which service tech we want. We'll say Don Curtains is going to do this one. We're going to go ahead and submit the quote to the generator. All right, it's going to take just a second. It's going to say that it's going to take about 1 to 2 minutes, but it's actually going to go a little bit quicker than that. In fact, let's just come over here and check out my email really quick. All right, here we go. Oh, there it is. It was that fast. All right, so Easy Flow Plumbing quote for John Doe, and that's who I put in there. Please find your service quote prepared by our technician Don today at 7/7/25. That is today's date. Once you reviewed everything and it appears correct, please click the included link to be taken to our quote acceptance page. We can accept the quote as given so that Don may begin work. All right. No more needing to have to make sure you got carbon copy paper that they fill out, that you quote everything there. Now you just fill it in real quick on their phone. It's going to email the client right there on the spot. It's going to give them a nice looking PDF using a generator. I'll show you how to set that up. It's going to go ahead and list out each of the things that are needed. So we got a water heater install. We're going to need that 40-gallon water heater, nice small one, right? We're going to need the drain auger for the toilet and the drain auger for the bathtub. All told, we're looking at about $2,200. And you got a link down here, which you can set up yourself to your payment link. So when you click that, it'll take it to your quote acceptance page where they can either put on a deposit or they can accept the terms and conditions of the service that allows your tech to get to work. And on top of that, if we come over to my other email address here, the workflow also sends it to the corporate headquarters. So it's not going to send it just to the client. Your company is going to get a copy of this as well. So here we go. Don has generated a new quote for John Doe. Here's the address. Here's our quote number. So an automatically generated quote number that's going to be unique. Services sought. There's the label for the water heater itself, and the 2 drain augers or the snakes. The service quote is attached. Same as before. Absolutely beautiful. Now you have records of everything going on in your business, every service quote that you get, and you'll be able to process this so much easier for your clients. As always, you can get today's workflow by going to our free Skool community where we keep all of our past workflows, training videos, tools, and templates. You can also join hundreds of AI enthusiasts all looking to grow their businesses with AI-powered automations. And make sure to join us in our Advanced community where we have over 20 hours of additional AI and N8N training courses to help you learn how to ride this AI wave, as well as a group of committed AI-focused business owners all looking to help each other grow and scale. All right, and let's actually talk about how this workflow works in practice. Now, you'll see that I actually start with a webhook node. And as a webhook node, that means you're going to need to put some amount of coding onto your website. I'm not exactly sure what website generator you're going to use or what you're using to build it, because WordPress is a different process than ClickFunnels, is a different process than so on and so forth, right? I personally use ClickFunnels, and if you use ClickFunnels, I have a link in the description below on how to set up webhooks in ClickFunnels. Otherwise, It's usually just a little bit of HTML code that you put on your website. Once the form is submitted, it activates the webhook, it pulls the information, and it's going to bring it here to our workflow. It's a nice, simple workflow. It's actually not all that complex compared to some of the other ones I put out. But if we take a look in here, we'll see that I just have my webhook URL set up on my website. It's a HTTP method of post. This is our path. I could have named it whatever I wanted, but you can change the name. We don't need any authentication. But what we do need is we do need an immediate response for, at least for ClickFunnels. Other services, maybe not, but for ClickFunnels, you need that immediate webhook response. That way the information is passed to our funnel or to our workflow from our funnel and then back to the website, letting it know everything processed properly. And it's going to then go on to the next page, the thank you page, to let the customer know any extra information that they need to know. Or in this case, it'd be your tech, letting the tech know anything else they need to say or anything else they need to go over with the client. All right, we're going to pass that information to this AI agent. Now, the AI agent has 3 things hooked up to it, and I'll talk about them each in turn. The first one you need to be aware of is that we've had this set up with OpenAI. You can use whatever provider you want. If you want Gemini or Claude, I'm using OpenAI, and I'm actually using GPT-1 Mini here. You can use 4.1 or 4.1 Mini. You can use 4.1. You can use, 03 if you really are crazy, but 4.1 Mini works really well for the system. It's only taking a little bit of information in, it's processing it, and then it's going to put out what we need in order to be able to process everything else. All right, we also have a calculator tool so that it's going to be able to do some math to be able to generate the actual totals for our quote. And then we have a structured output parser that's going to tell it how it needs to output each of the items that are being set up in our quote, as well as adding in any additional terms that might need to be included at the end. All right, and so it's going to output each of those items, and then it's going to be passed through the rest of the workflow, and it's going to generate a PDF for us, download that PDF, and then send it to both the client and to our corporate headquarters via email. All right, so inside our AI agent, we give it a simple prompt. We just simply say the quote information is the information that's coming from our website. So if we come over here, we've got json.body.data, and we're going to kind of find data again. There's data, and then we find quote information. All right, so find quote information right there. So this is what it's looking for, is that what is it that we're developing this quote based off of? Quote information right there. All right. And then we run it through this system prompt here. This system prompt was set up for a plumbing company, as you can tell. So you are a licensed plumbing estimator working for EasyFlow Plumbing. Your role is to translate technician-filled quote information into structured line items for client-facing PDF quotations. All right. We charge at least $300 an hour. We write that in here for labor. And you have access to a calculator, and you must use it in order to calculate the total accurately. No estimating, no guessing, no trying to figure it out itself. And it does need to include a unit price times unit for every line item. What we then did is some people will say, oh, well, you can put all this information into a RAG database. I guess you could. You can have some sort of vector store database or some Postgres table that you put all this information into. But if you're going to be running all those tokens anyway, might as well just dump it into the system prompt for your agent here. And so, I mean, there's only so many different services and activities and things that you can sell. If it really does kind of get hefty, do consider using maybe a Postgres table or a vector store database, depending on how large this is getting. But for my simple example here, I just go ahead and put it right into my system prompt. And what I did is I just took a spreadsheet of the information, and then had what we offered, and it had a list of the pricing. And I put that into ChatGPT, and I said, hey, can you write this as part of my system prompt? And it just went, added it for me. All right. We then also wrote out different standard labor timetables, how long certain things should take in order to get done. That's in order to develop that quote, right? And so we just, for example, we have the tankless water heater install, 4 hours, although technically I guess this was a water heater install, so 2.5 hours. And then up here we had our water heater, the 40 gallon was $850, right? Then we give it some instructions on how to actually do this invoice. So required rules, it needs to calculate the total, which is the unit, how many units times the unit price for every line item. No approximating, no guessing labor time, only using the table as its basis. We don't want the AI going, well, I think it might take 4 hours to do this. Instead, we give it the table, say, this is your holy grail. This is what you're basing everything off of. All right, no inventing parts or anything that needs to be sold. It's only allowed the specific items that it has. Again, if you're going to use some sort of table, you can attach a Google Sheet to this and say, this is the basis from which you're going to be operating off of. That works just as well. You just have to make sure you include that in the instructions. All right, no omitting labor if the task is present. Always round to 2 decimal places, and do not bill for tools or service equipment as separate parts unless they are being installed or left behind. And so as an example, if they have to use the pipe snake, the auger, right? We're not selling that to the client. Instead, that's going to be considered labor plus the activity. All right. In terms, we give it some additional terms that it needs to output. You would want to update this for yourself, for your company. So, this is a good faith estimate. Final charges may vary due to unforeseen issues or extended labor. Client agrees to pay all applicable fees associated with services rendered. And number 2, the quote is valid for 3 calendar days from the date of issue. You can add additional ones that you want to include. Just make sure to include that as well in the structured output parser so that it's aware of what else it needs to output. We then give it a sample format of what it needs to output. So given an input like this, install 2 hose bibs, new under sink shutoff valve, and 10 feet of PEX tubing, test backflow preventer. Is the customer informed? True. And the service technician was Joe Plumber. It's going to return 1 items array. So that's just a group of items containing fully calculated quote lines, and 2 terms field. And those terms were listed up here, right? The terms. And that's the terms of your agreement that you want to make sure that the customer is getting. And so here's our output. We have the items. Item 1 is labor with the hose bib installation. We have 2 times half an hour each. The unit price is $300, 1 unit for a total value of $300. All right, exterior hose bib, $65. We're gonna have 2 units of that for $130. The under sink shutoff valve install is half an hour. Unit price is $300. Unit is half an hour, so it's $150 total, and so on. We give all examples of all these various things that it's going to have to do in order to be able to provide that specific service based on these tables that we've installed into this AI. All right, it's then going to create the terms that we listed, and as well include the date, formatted, month, day, year, right? So July 7th, 2025. And it's going to extract or return only this information in the way that the computer is looking for it here. It's called JSON. Do not include headers, explanations, or markdowns. The totals must be exact. And what it's going to do is it's going to first identify what needs done. It's then going to run the calculator tool in order to be able to determine how much all of this is going to cost. It's then going to output that result. That result is then going to go through this code node here. And don't worry about understanding this code node, all right? I don't understand how to code either. I had ChatGPT help me make this, and I would recommend that if you want to update it, you would just go to copy, paste it in ChatGPT, and tell it exactly what needs changed. Now, specifically what you might need to change would be your static company information here, right? There's a whole section for your company information that you would want to put into these generated quotes. All right, then it explains how to format the date. It's going to set all that information. It's going to generate a unique quote number. And that's actually based on, right now, the time that it's submitted is going to be the time or the quote number. So it's going to be year, and then month, and then day, and then hour, and then minute, and then second. All right. It's to the second. That's going to be the quote number. And the quote number, and obviously you can set this up however you want in order to be able to generate quote numbers that match whatever system that you have. Just be aware that you have to find a way to plug that into this, right? So I tried to find a way that I could create a unique quote number that was not going to overlap with anybody else and would be usable for any type of system that you might have. All right. We give it a placeholder acceptance link. So just wherever you want the customer to go in order to accept the quote. All right, that would just be another lead capture form on your website. We give it the information that it needs to output. All right, and all of this is going to be dependent on what it is you're going to be sending to our PDF generator. Now, for my PDF generator here, I'm using an HTTP node. But I'm using a service that's called API template.io. So I come over here and we go API template.io. I really like this service because it makes really nice looking PDFs really inexpensively. So come over to pricing. They have a free plan. The free plan allows you to do 50 of these every month. And for only $30 a month, you get 1,500 of these quotes that you're going to be able to generate with this system. All right. The system you can install yourself. You know, all you got to pay is whatever the setup and hosting fees are for it. I give it away absolutely for free in my free school community. You can go and get that right now. But for this, you can get 50 quotes a month, or you can get for $30 a month, you can do 1,500, as well as having all these different templates. And I'll come and talk about the templates in just a second. All right. So what we're doing is we are going to pass all of the information that we have over here in our code node that's being pulled out of our AI agent that's generating our quote. It's pulling all the information that the customer has submitted on our website, and it's structuring it in a way that's going to be passed through this service, and it's going to be sent into one of their templates. All right, and so let me see if I can show you how that works. Let me log in. Hopefully I don't have to put in my password. All right, it looks like I don't. All right, so what we do is we come over to manage templates. So once you've signed up, you just come over here to manage templates. And what I did is I created a new template based off of one they have in here. So if we come in here and I can just show you, let's see if I can let's click on this to show you real quick. All right, so again, it's all a whole bunch of code. Run it through ChatGPT. All right, so this was the template I used. Here it has my address. Well, here's address. I can read the word address there. So sender company info is a variable. It's a thing that I need to send to this service in order to make sure that my company name shows up here. All right. And so that's done back here in this code node. So if we come here, it says sender company info, and that was determined somewhere up here, right here, where we put it in our static company information. All right, a lot of the other information is going to automatically pass, such as the date, the quote number, the quote expiration, all of that passes automatically. The other stuff that's going to pass, the client name, the client street address, the state address, the telephone number, the items, the terms, all of that, that's entirely dependent on the customer, what they sent in, and making sure that it matches up. The field on your website has to match. So when they put in their name, that field bubble needs to be called client name. It needs to be passed to this workflow in order to work properly. All right. Otherwise, this is all mostly set up. I don't think I had to do really any editing in this thing, other than I added a line under the quote prepared by, just because I wanted it to stand out a little bit more. The rest of it was pretty much the template. They got really nice templates that you can play around with. You can have your logo on here. You can have your company colors, really cool stuff. All right. Either way, what I've done is I took that template. I have this HTTP node. I'm making a post. So our method is post to this URL here, which is https://rest-us.apitemplet.io/v2/create-pdf. All right, and our authentication method is going to be a predefined credential type using credentials for API-template.io. All right, and so N8N has this already pre-installed. You just have to go ahead and set up your account here in API-template.io. Let's go ahead and close out of here. And then I'll show you in just one second what to do in order to kind of finish this off. So set up your credentials. And then when we're down here, we're going to do file name as a query parameter. And for me, I call the file the date. So the date that this was submitted, EasyFlow plumbing quote for, and then client name .pdf. That way it's very clearly a PDF. It's got today's date. It's going to have the client name. It's got your company name. Makes real sense, right? And then we have template ID. Now the template ID you're going to get from API-template.io. And it's right there. All you got to do is you copy that after you've made your template, copy that, and come over here and paste that in. All right. We're also going to send a body, a raw type. The content type is application/JSON. And our body is simply just JSON.data, this little piece of JavaScript here that's coming directly from this node, this code node. So I come down here, it's saying that it's going to return data. And it's going to be this, all these items here are going to be returned in that data field, and that's what's being passed to API templates.io or template.io. And those are the specific fields that we need in order to be able to have it generate our PDF quote. All right, so that's all we're going to pass through this node here. Everything gets sent. It's going to generate our PDF for us. We then need to download our PDF. So we have another HTTP node using Git, and we're going to do an URL of json.download_URL. That's all there is to setting up this one. We don't need any extra authentication for that. Once we have our PDF downloaded into our system, we just send it off to the client. So let's come here. We got a Gmail node. So you're going to set up your Gmail credentials. Now, if you have a different email service, obviously you can set that up. This handles Outlook. This handles all kinds of other email services. You just set that up in here, set up your credentials. Either way, our resource is message. Operation is send. We're going to be sending it to the client email. Now, in this case, the client email came when the client submitted their information over here. All right, so it's coming from the webhook. Our subject is going to be our company name, quote for, and then the client name, right? Let them know, hey, this is the company sending you the quote. And then we send an HTML message saying, hello, name. Please find your service quote prepared by our technician, and then the name of our technician, today, and then today's date. Once you have reviewed everything and it appears correct, please click the included link to be taken to our quote acceptance page, where you can accept the quote as given so that the technician name may be again work. The Easy Flow Plumbing Team. Nice and easy. It gets sent directly to them. Once the client uses the acceptance link and accepts the quote, now you have a digital record of them accepting it. You don't need to worry about paperwork getting lost or damaged. It's going to be in your system forever. And then one thing we want to make sure that we do is have a couple options here. One option is to turn off the append N8N attribution. It looks really janky if your client gets a quote and it says made with an automation by, right? It doesn't look so good. But we also want to make sure we include the attachment. Our attachment field name will be called data. And that data is coming from what we're downloading from the API template.io. It's our actual quote. And so it's called data in the system. So that's why we call it data here. Then we have another Gmail node here. And this Gmail node is pretty much exactly the same. You're just going to hard code in whatever email you want it sent to. So your corporate headquarters or your manager or whoever it is. Subject, we have our company name, quote for the client. Again, you can name this whatever you want. Email type is HTML. And then we have, the name of our technician has generated a new quote for client name, a couple line breaks, and then we give it the street address, we give it the state address, we give it the telephone number, and we give it the quote number so that you have that in your email records as well, the quote number. Service is sought. And then we have a little bit of kind of custom JavaScript here. When I say custom, I mean I had ChatGPT make this for me. It's going to create a bulleted list of each of the items. So if I come back over to my email, I can show you what that looks like. It's going to create this bulleted list here in your email so that it's nice and pretty. You know exactly what services are being requested and being quoted for. Okay. All right. And then we say service quote is attached. Now, what you can do is you can have a follow-up system on the customer acceptance page where it runs through another webhook that once they hit accept, that information's passed along, sends you another email, letting you know the customer has accepted the email. Now you have that digital record forever and ever that the customer has accepted it. They're not going to be able to dispute it. It's going to be great for your business to be able to not have to have, all that information in triplicate. Like it worked super fast. This is a really cool setup that you can use for your business. Hopefully you found this workflow helpful. If so, you can download it right now for free in my free school community. Just click the link in the description below to go to my school community. All you got to do is sign up. Again, no cost, no charge. Go in, you'll be able to find it right within the classroom section. If you found the video helpful, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like and share the video. It really does help get this information out there to those who need it. As always, I'm Bradford Carlton. Let's automate your success together.